Okay, we're coming in. Hi, everybody. It's Maria from What's the Story with Maria. How's it going? I want to welcome you to our show. We meet here every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We are coming to you live from New York City, and our guests start popping on right away, and we want to acknowledge them. Edie Gershman from Chicago. Hi, Edie. Suzanne Murray has joined us. Linda Marie has joined us. Hi, Linda. Krista Piero, the wonderful Krista Piero. Antonetta Siciliano has joined us. Justine Mary. Rena Crugnali Berge, that's my cousin. Kia Nelson from Philly. Um, Daryl Mossberg, he is in New York, but I think he's from Chicago originally. We have a lot of people from across the country already. Uh, Charles Caselli. Hi, Charles Caselli. Long time no see. Hey, Sue. Okay, so we have people that pop on. We have people already from New Jersey, New York.
Hi, Rena.
Yes, there's Rena.
She said hi.
She said hi. Hi, sweetheart. Rena's my cousin and Judy's cousin now. And she's in Massachusetts. So we tonight decided to do something different. And I asked Judy to come on with me because all week, I always go with my gut on the show. All week, I was like, do I want to go in this direction? I had some comedians on, I had some this on. But this week, I was so pulled in a completely different direction that I couldn't bring myself to book talent, as they say, or creative people. I just was kind of really sad and I couldn't get myself going out of that sadness. And what I was really sad about was and hi, Michael Sawyer, Nicole Ann has joined us, Suzanne Mason. What I was really sad about this week was the state of affairs uh, of our country and just the amount of violence in like even a 48-hour period that I mean, first of all, I, I feel like we've been so completely desensitized to these things. I don't remember this happening as a kid. I don't remember it happening 10 years ago. I just, this is a new thing for me. It's a new thing. And all these things that are happening have just brought me down to a level of such despair. And I was talking to a lot of friends of mine, and a lot of them are in law enforcement, and they feel the same way. And Judy is very political, as am I. And sometimes we're political in a little bit, we have a little bit of a different way. Judy is very fact oriented. And so I asked her to come on with me because she has a lot of facts to share. John Pandis has joined us. John De Palma has joined us. Rosemary LeBlanc. Isabella Raskowski, that's my cousin Marisa in Massachusetts. So a lot of nice people are going to come on. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to give you some facts. Judy's going to give you the facts because she's better at that. I'm a little more on the emotional side of things. And then we have Lieutenant Carol calling in. She is a retired New York Transit Police lieutenant, and she now lives and teaches in Arizona. And she and I have been communicating quite a bit over all this. And Sergeant Sue, who uh, is a retired sergeant from the NYPD, who's a great. They're both great friends of mine that I love, and I respect their opinions highly, and especially not just criminal justice, but in matters of the country, because they have information that we would never have, and they just they can shed some light on some of this stuff. So I wanted to bring them in because what I want to do with the show tonight is I want to try to start to heal, and I want to try to bring in the country. Um, Renee Stanley has joined us, Belle Parker from Wisconsin. I want to try to use the show tonight, not just for entertainment, but to spread the word because I feel like we're literally being unraveled. And some of us are listening to this and some of us are listening to that, and people are scattered. And what we all have in common is complete and utter fear. I don't know. I'm going to speak for you as well. Everybody's freaking out. Dana Craig has joined us. So anyway, Judy was doing some research as Judy does. Judy's a researcher. So Judy, tell us some of the facts that you came up with um, on all this. These are just numbers we're going to throw at you. Okay. So go ahead, Judy. Come up, tell them about some of the stuff that you were telling me about.
Um, well, if we're just talking about mass shootings, the number is really so staggering. If you just do some research and you just Google some, different different phrases, you'll see that since Sandy Hook, which was in
2014, I believe.
Was it 14 or 13?
Well, I think it was 14, but we'll look that up in a minute.
Okay. Well, since Sandy Hook, there has been 2,182 mass shootings.
2,182 mass shootings.
And then there's only been the longest stretch of time that we've gone in the United States without a mass shooting
Since that time.
Since that time has been 10 days.
10.
That means that every week, besides those 10 days, which was in 2014, and then 1 week in January 5th of 2014. So 7 days and 10 days. Since then, we've had multiple. Oh my God. Okay, so it was in 2012.
2012. Thank you, Dara.
We've had a mass shooting every week. Can you imagine?
Every
There's
week.
52 weeks in a year. And 2012 till now is
Was
7
years
ago. So in 7 years, we've only had a total of 1 week and then separate 10 days without
So
a mass
17
shooting.
days in 7 years
Mhm.
where there was no mass shooting. So that
Well, yes.
is the norm. Now, I know those numbers seem ridiculous to you. You're thinking that can't be. Well, because we looked it up and we were like, no. How can that be? Here's the problem. Well, it's all a problem. The whole thing is a problem.
It was in 2012, December of 2012.
It was right near Christmas. I think it was the 14th. That's where I was getting it from. 12/14, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So since then, which if you can remember back to that day, it was the most frightening thing since September 11th that I ever remember in our country. And I get emotional when I talk about it. I still cannot get the images of those babies huddled. I cannot get it out of my head. And I've been angry about it ever since. If you can imagine that since that, how many people have died?
I'm not going to have that number now.
Right. So can you imagine if that's how many thousands since that 26? So a lot has happened. There have been a lot of people just spinning in circles.
So the deadliest shooting after that was the Orlando
Pulse massacre.
Mass shooting, which was, I think, 50 people died.
49.
50.
Okay.
And then the next mass shooting was Las Vegas.
Las
Vegas. Was 59 people.
Oh my God, right.
And that was the following year, I believe.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when Pulse happened, that was the deadliest mass shooting in modern American history. And then, of course, that was beat by the Las Vegas shooter.
Right.
Which happened, a year later. So Pulse happened June 12th, which was actually Pride.
Right before Pride, it was Pride Month, right?
So June
2 years ago,
of
I believe.
2016, and then the other one was October 1st of 2017.
So now this is the crazy thing, because when you mention certain things, I have forgotten about a lot of them. There's certain ones that I remember, like the ones we mentioned, but there are so many that I have, and not because I'm not a conscious person, but because there are so many to remember, and within a week sometimes. This never ever happened when we were kids or adults. This is a new phenomenon, and this is what we want to talk about tonight.
Yeah. So if you do a little research, you'll see that, I mean, it's really only 20 states. So there's 50 states, only 20 states, which is not even half, have a law that makes someone who wants to purchase a gun have a mandatory universal background check.
Only 20.
20 states.
Okay, what are those states? Do you remember? Or some of them?
Yeah, I have to. We'll go in order because.
Okay, so you go in order. I'm sorry, you have all these facts. I don't want to mess you up.
The United States, if you graph it, which is so funny. I'm such a geek. I saw this graph.
I didn't know what. I'm like, what is that?
I saw this graph, which probably has reflection right now.
Go ahead, I'll hold it up.
I saw this graph, and I'm like, oh my God, this is part of like my R project that I just did in school. When you collect data and you figure out like you put data together. When you have an outlier, it means that those numbers are so different than the rest of the numbers in your data that it skews the whole graph.
Okay.
So in this particular data that I just showed you, which by the way, this is on Vox. I love Vox. They always have a lot of just factual information. No, it's
Not either way, then no
right.
bipartisan.
It's just facts
Facts,
that they
right.
collect from from data. So the United States is an outlier when you collect data on all of the modern, civilized countries. They are the country that has the most mass shootings. They are also the country that has the loosest gun laws compared to every other country. Now, you really, I mean, I know this just because I've been researching this for so many years, so I automatically know what to look up when I want to do research like this, when I want to get angry, because I get so angry when people like don't realize these things. But if you Google some things and do some research, you will find that there is a direct correlation between so many things: poverty, education, gun violence. Unfortunately, I hate to say this, but Republican states and Democratic states, because actually the blue states have stricter gun laws for the most part than the red states, and the blue states also have better education for the most part. I mean, if you look at the top 5 states with the best education in the United States, they're all Democratic states. If you look at
The poorest.
the bottom 5 states of education, they're all Republican states, and that is they will prove to be the highest ones with gun violence, the loosest gun laws.
Two of them being
it's-
Mississippi and Alabama.
Yeah,
Right.
2 states. I don't know who they are, but I will know in a second. 2 states have 0 gun laws, no gun laws at all.
And
I think
that's-
it's Idaho and Montana, but I'm not sure. And then, like I said, only 20 of them you have to pass a universal background check. I mean, can you imagine? I want to get a driver's license. I have to go to the DMV. I have to take an eye test. I have to drive. Then I have to do more to drive a car than I have to do to own a gun. Not all the
motorcycle.
states,
You wouldn't. I had to get a motorcycle license. That's a whole different thing. You have to take classes. You have to pass all kinds of things. There's anything like that. Think about it. In order to cut someone's hair, if you're a hairdresser, how many hours is that? Thousands, like at least 1,000 hours of learning to do that.
the magazine ban, like for machine guns, I think was passed. I don't think I know it was passed in 1994, so it was banned federally by Bill Clinton, and it was let expire in 2004
By Bush.
the Bush administration. And I don't want to blame them because I don't know the details on why Obama didn't use executive order or do something to reinstate that. But it wasn't.
Well, he had a
reinstated.
Republican Congress.
He could have, ways around it. But
Okay.
it wasn't reinstated, and it's really insane.
That's the
And
assault. That's the
interesting-
assault rifle.
Interestingly enough, the NRA is not even the biggest lobbyist in Washington. Oh, by the way, speaking of Washington, they have very strict gun laws in Washington D.C.
Right, which-
because the politicians are very smart to protect themselves. Of course, we want to keep them safe so that they could run the country for 40 years without getting elected out of office. What was you can hop in
Okay,
here 'cause
so-
I lost my train of thought.
So these are a lot of facts that Judy has, and that's why I like to bring Judy on, because she's very fact based. Now, what blows my mind, and what I want people to think about tonight with the show is what has happened. Whether you own a gun or not, I don't own a gun. I don't need to own a gun. Okay, I have friends that do. I have cousins that do. They're hunters. I have friends that are marksmen. I have a lot of friends in law enforcement, and 2 of them are going to call in tonight. And they, of course-
Leo came on.
Leo, I know Leo came on, and I think Gina. Hold on, my cousin Gina. I don't have my glasses on. Hi, Gina. We have to clap for Gina. Hi, Gina Savino. Happy birthday, sweetheart. It was her birthday week this week. So we know a lot of people that do have guns and are very responsible gun owners. Nobody here is
Wow.
questioning that.
Yeah.
What is this?
So right, that was one of my statistics.
So
too,
this is Isabella Raskowski, who is Marisa, really.
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm going to
So-
read it and then you comment. According to the Gun Violence Archive, so far this year, there have been 273 fatalities and 1,067 injured. So this country has more fatalities than days this year. Think about that.
Right.
More,
And
more,
we're only in August.
So what we are talking about is this, first of all, assault rifles. Nobody, unless you are a soldier out in war, needs an assault rifle. It can literally, in 9 seconds, shoot 32 bullets. 9 seconds. I heard that today. So that is 32 people that can drop in 9 seconds. Why? Now, let's say you say, well, I'm a deer hunter. You're not going to shoot 32 deer in 9 seconds. It's not going to happen. And if you need an assault rifle to shoot a deer, you're a really bad hunter. So that's a terrible, I don't want to hear that ridiculous argument.
So, by the way, I think this is a very important thing. This is a very important thing to know. There are 7 different right now that exist. So, you know, more could come because
We're going to
laws
call
can
Carol
be
in a
made.
minute.
But right now, there are 7 different types of gun laws that exist. Okay. So, for those people who are pro-gun, these are the gun laws that exist. So, if you're pro-gun and you're a good citizen that doesn't have a criminal record,
And there's a
or that doesn't
so
have
many great people
that
like that.
doesn't have any domestic violence, this doesn't
Affect you.
I really never understood that. You know, that rebuttal. If you're a responsible gun owner, good for you.
Right.
So this doesn't affect you, and I don't understand. And maybe, I mean, yeah, I don't understand why they just follow that rhetoric. You know, that like rhetoric of,
Well,
oh, don't take our
I
guns
do
away.
want to talk about that at some point. The rhetoric, and this is another thing I want to talk about in the show, because what I'm worried about is the youth of America and how easily swayed they are. And what that is happening more and more and more. And I believe that is part of the problem with guns. So now I want you to hold these thoughts, because we're going to call Lieutenant Carol. We're going to call her now, and she is going to shed some light on some of the other things, because she also teaches at a university. Now hold all these thoughts, because they're very important. So hold on. Okay, there it is. It's ringing. So, because she and I text quite a bit. Hi, Carol.
How you doing, Maria?
I'm good, sweetheart. I'm going to hold you up to the microphones, honey, and I'm going to ask you to raise your voice a little bit. And so we want to thank Lieutenant Carol for coming on. Lieutenant Carol was with the NYC Transit Police for how many years, Carol?
I started in 1980 and I retired in 2000.
Okay, and now you 20 years, and now you teach at a university, right?
Well, I'm not teaching this semester. I stopped during this current administration. I'm going to go back to teaching and hopefully they voted in the president.
Okay, so I was telling the listeners, you and I have been texting lately, all this crazy stuff that's happening, and everybody is discouraged. Now, I mean, you have had a very different experience with guns, with crime, all that I have. I'm just a civilian. I'm an entertainer. But please shed some light on what you think is happening to our country right now. And anything you want, Carol. I just want you to be free to say whatever you like.
Well, I think we've been taking down a very dangerous path. As you know, as a police officer and in any rank, in any department, there's a thin blue line between law and discipline. And we have a high respect for law. And it seems like since this administration took over, we have a certain brand of lawlessness, and we've lost respect for the law. And it seems like no matter what we find or what investigation we do about the president, he is above the law. And this country was founded on the premise that no one is above the law. And I, throughout these few years, have been reassuring friends that we would be okay, and the balance between the judicial, the legislative, and the executive branch would come through for us. And myself, being in the judicial branch, I had the most faith in that. But then when I saw the amount of judges on the federal bench that were being replaced by this administration, and the way that things were going with the Mueller investigation, and the way this thing was put on it by the Attorney General before it was set forth before us, I became very concerned. I'm a graduate of the FBI National Academy. I know the men and women in the FBI. I know how dedicated they are to integrity, bravery, courage. And to see them reduced and taken apart in the way that they were makes me very concerned. I feel that we're being led down a path of fear. We're being divided and conquered through hate. And if we study history throughout the years, anytime a regime or a government uses hate to divide people, that's when the people are conquered. And I never thought the United States was in a position to be conquered. So what I wanted to share with Maria, I'm 63 years old now, or I will be in 13 days.
Happy
And
birthday.
I never saw a time, thank you. I never saw a time in my lifetime as a professor, as a cop, as a private investigator, as a human being, where I thought it's so important to vote and to make a choice in our lifetime to choose love and to choose candidates that were for the collective good of the people and not a group who are complicit in professing the language of hate, division, and greed, which is what I'm seeing now. We really need to vote. And it's funny, I'm sitting in my vehicle because I was just after dinner. And I'm sitting here in my vehicle, a woman is walking in front of me with a T-shirt on, and it says, "Voting saves lives."
Voting saves lives.
Very
Wow.
Appropriate.
I,
Very appropriate for what I wanted to say. This is the most important thing to do. It's the only power we have left. You have one vote. All together, if we all vote, we can win. We really have to vote, and we have to vote for love. And we have to walk away from all of this fear that's going on.
yep. And Carol, I mean, one of the things, I mean, I always love, what you share with me via text or online or whatever. But one of the things that really struck me is you sent me a picture recently. It was I thought it was the same guy. It was 3 pictures, and I thought it was the same of the killer or the last shooting. I thought it was the same person, but it was 3 different gunmen. And they all looked the same. And it was so spooky. And what is happening, like, it's crazy what's happening and what's been normalized. And I love what you talked about with the FBI, and that you were a student of the FBI, and that how integritous they are, and that would ever be questioned in this country. Ever.
Absolutely. I mean, they don't make a lot of money. If they have to, anybody in the FBI, you have to have a master's in a specific field that they're looking for at the time. And then you get hired for a very low amount of money, and you only get stipends if you're in, like, very busy cities. And you're in a big bureaucracy, like ICE was, like NYPD. And, it's a lot of nonsense that goes on, and you get a lot of rules when you're trying to be progressive and you're trying to take a job. And it's not optimal. I mean, all of my friends, when I got out of school and I went on to my careers, many of my friends chose much more lucrative fields, and so did many of the people who are friends of FBI. When you choose this, you choose these fields because you want to change the world. You want to be of service. So
Want to be of service.
Of service, to serve and protect. That's what you take an oath. You want to honor the Constitution of the United States. We take it seriously. When you hear these stories about police and the terrible stories,
Carol, honey, raise your voice a little bit.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, when you hear these stories, you hear the stories about the corrupt cops and the brutal cops. For the years I've been teaching, I tell people that's only 1/10 of 1% of the cops, but those are the sensationalized stories. The majority of police officers go on the job to serve and protect. And we are just as angry at the ones that don't do their job because they tarnish all of our shields.
That's a wonderful point.
But for the most part, we're there to serve and protect. And none of us want to go to work in the morning and have an episode where we take someone's life or something bad happens. We're there to review. And for the FBI to have years of service and have to wait to 65 years old to retire, and to be treated in the way that they are by this man in the White House who is supposed to rely on them for intelligence is very absurd.
Yeah,
Very absurd.
I agree. So I guess the solution is to vote. The only solution is to vote.
Yeah, because impeachment really isn't a route at this point because it's not enough time.
Right.
And if they try to impeach and it doesn't work, he's just going to run around saying he's exonerated again.
Right.
So it's better let everybody just go out and vote.
That's it. All right. Well, Carol,
Yep.
I can't thank you enough. And thank you for all the information that you send me all the time. And I'm glad that we at least have each other to vent to, because it's a very hard, sad time. And what you just said, I mean, I'm right there, close to your age. And same thing. I've never remembered a time like this. So
This is very scary.
yeah, and we have to stick together. And I just feel like the more information we can put out there, because a lot of people don't know. They just don't know. They're not listening to the news,
Yeah.
or they're listening to types of news that are more entertainment than factual. And I feel like it's up to us to educate people. So thank you for calling, honey.
You're welcome, Maria. Take
All
care.
right. And have a great night, okay?
Okay, you too.
All
Bye.
right, bye. All right, so that was Lieutenant Carol. Amazing. I mean, I've known Carol for like over 25 years. And some of the stories that she's told me over the years, whoa, about some of the things, and she worked with gangs in Brooklyn, crazy things that you would not believe. And the fact that this, of all the things, is just the most discouraging is really, really sad. So what I want to do is I want to just tell you a quick story, and then we're going to have Sergeant Sue's going to call in at 9:45. And Judy, you can throw more facts in here, but I want to tell a quick story because I think this is part of what the problem is. So last night I was at work. I work downtown in a piano bar, and it's a really fun place, and people come in and sing and blah, blah, blah. So these three young guys, like 22-ish, came in, very cute, all three of them, and they very polite. And they were here for a convention. They were here for the ASA, which I think is the American Sociological Association. And they were here for a sociology convention. They're students, they're grad students, undergrad students. And one was from Mississippi, one was from Alabama, and one was from Buffalo, New York. So I was curious. I said, oh, okay, I got these fresh minds here. Let me see what they got. And much to my surprise, the one from Mississippi and the one from Alabama, actually, we were on the same page politically. And I was actually kind of surprised, but they were very, very open-hearted, and they were talking about what we're talking about. And the other one, who was from Buffalo, I couldn't believe what was coming out of this kid. He was a young boy. And funny enough, looks very similar to a lot of those pictures that you've been seeing on the news. Very shy, very, just exactly what you see. I don't have to describe it. You've seen them. And he was literally not even having a conversation with me. As he was hearing me talk to these other boys, he was just literally throwing out lines, spewing lines that you hear in these other places, like these crazy news stations, or that you hear from crazy people. Same line. He literally mentioned Hillary Clinton, I don't know how many times. And yes, crazy enough, her emails. It could have been a joke. Could have been a Saturday Night Live skit. And it really was, he was just dossier. He kept saying these crazy things. And I realized this kid was the beginning of radicalized. And I actually stopped him. And I said, stop it right now. I'm going to tell, this is what's happening to you. And I froze him in his tracks. And the other two looked at me like they literally were giving me the thumbs up, because they couldn't talk to him. And I said, I'm old enough to be your mother. I'm telling you right now, you are being led down a path that is very, very scary. And I realized what was happening to this kid, because I kept, every time he threw something at me, I threw something at him. But I did it with a lot of love. Like, I didn't want to just yell. I was like, sweetheart, you are literally falling down a hole. Do you understand this? These are not your thoughts. You are too young to be having these thoughts. And this kid literally fixed on me. And less than an hour later, he said to me, "Can I hug you?" I said, "Of course you can hug me." And he was so attached to following me around. And he's like, "Can we talk more about this? Can we talk more about this?" And I had this epiphany that I think what is happening, the exact same thing that happens to ISIS youth that is converted or people are pulled out or radicalized for, is exactly what's happening to this youth. That they are lost, they are shy, they are people that don't know, don't have sense of self. They are followers. They are angry.
Well, I think that the better way to describe that is that people that are normally lost and that are normal followers and that normally don't have a sense of self now feel like they are empowered to attach
Perfect.
themselves to a cause so that
Perfect.
they can hate someone other than themselves.
Perfectly said. I couldn't have said that
I
better.
think that it's better to say that than to say that all. Because
No.
I know a lot of youth that is very
Amazing.
passionate,
Right.
and very encompassing and in love with everything and wanting gun laws. I mean, look at the high school students from
Parkland. Yep,
I mean,
agree.
those kids are amazing. What came out of there
Yep.
is really a resilient bunch.
Right.
But I think that what this administration has done
Right.
is give power to the people that feel what you just described.
Right.
Because they, for the most part, were just quiet kids that would go into school that other popular, maybe more, good looking kids would make fun of. And now if that person is all of a sudden, maybe that person who made fun of them is, Hispanic, is, Asian, a minority, a girl, gay, something. Now they're like, yeah, well, I'm white and my power is that I'm white.
Right.
And I can hate you now. You're the one that I hate and you can't hate me anymore. So, today.
But you know what? I'm going to stop you in that because I didn't even see that. I don't even see that. I think that they're just, these kids are vapid. These particular, the kind of person
Right.
profile that would do this. Right.
Right.
It's not your everyday person. And
it's not all kids. It's not
no.
generation.
It's this particular profile of a person.
Of a person. And it could be
a girl.
any age. Any age.
Yes, it happens to have fallen in the last.
The Vegas shooter was an older guy.
Yep, but I'm going to show you. This is just some. I want to show you this picture. These are just some of the people that have committed these crimes. Do you see anything in common? I do. I don't have to say it. Okay. So what is happening is exactly what you said. They're being empowered. Now, if you're someone that's lost in the world, you don't find your place, and you hear someone say on television, "We are being invaded. They're coming across board. They're coming in caravans. We're being invaded. We need to preserve
Whatever
our nation."
happened to that caravan? It never got here.
No, it never did. I don't
should
know.
go pick 'em up.
But it was right before the election. That was interesting. But if you hear that and you're sitting in your room and you go online and you're like, "I'm going to help my country. I'm going to do something. I'm going to get rid of these people. They're invading us. They're infesting us. They're trying to take away what we are." This is exactly what happened in Germany in World War II. Exactly. People, though they were radicalized, these young boys, because I haven't seen a girl yet. I mean, maybe there will be, but it's all young boys, young white boys. They're being radicalized, just like in ISIS. There were those boys that were being radicalized. So nations have these. It's not just, but this is the first time it's happened in the United States. Pay attention, people. This is very scary.
Yeah, listen, the point is that, knowledge is power.
Yep.
That's the bottom line. And I am such a advocate for education. And I really think that the majority, I always say this, but we live in a bubble because we live in, New York, New Jersey, and we live
Massachusetts,
in
California.
the Northeast area
Right.
where most of this it's hard to live here. You know what I mean? You have to hustle, you have to work. We live with all sorts of people. We have to take the train, the bus,
We have to socialize. We're
right.
Oh, this is Sergeant Sue. Okay. Hi, Sue. Hold on, honey. Let me put you on speakerphone. Hi, sweetheart. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I miss you, honey. It's good to hear your voice.
I know. It's nice to hear your voice, too. I've been listening to you guys. Oh, awesome show. Awesome show.
Oh, thank you. Well, I was going to call you anyway this week, but sometimes I know what you folks have been through, and it's almost like I don't want to wake him, that sleeping bear. I know you're retired now, and I almost just want to leave well enough alone. But I always love what you add, like I see on Facebook or, when we're talking or texting, and I feel like you have seen things that no one will ever see because of your line of work. And I know you're retired now, but I'm sure that stayed with you. And
Yes.
and you posted something when I posted the promo, and I just want you to, whatever you want to talk about, Sue, because this is Sergeant Sue from the NYPD. She is retired now and lives in Florida. But Sue, tell me what you're seeing as a law enforcement person and also a teacher. You taught at the academy for many years.
You know what? I've been watching your show, and there's so much. I mean, everything that Lieutenant, Carol Santameo said was absolutely true. What I personally see in this country, though, I see a lot of apathy.
Apathy.
Apathy. People aren't voting. Millions of people in this country did not vote in the last election, and we need those people to vote. We really do. And that's a big issue. And I know there's gerrymandering and all kinds of reasons why they
big
didn't
time.
vote.
There's so
but we
many.
need to get them out.
Yeah, that is such a big, thank you for saying that. That is such a big problem. Gerrymandering is gerrymandering, and also and also the judges that are being appointed.
Yeah.
Because they're being appointed to allow gerrymandering, and it's impossible to I feel like it's impossible. I don't want to say impossible, maybe that's the wrong word, but it's gonna be so difficult to overcome this evil, because Maria taught me this saying, and I love it. Great spirits often receive violent opposition from mediocre minds.
And that was Einstein said
and
that.
Right now we have mediocre minds, and that's actually giving them a lot of credit in running our government.
Right.
And so it's going to take every single person everywhere, especially in those swing states and those states where, if you have to wait 8 hours, you better wait 8 hours. You better wait all that you can wait. But even still, we might lose because there's so much cheating, and it's so, you know what I mean? So like, we have to do everything. We have to vote. We have to go to the streets. We have to, it's a revolution. That's why when I talk to people and they talk to me about AOC and the other representatives and or like Bernie Sanders, or all these people that are really just kind of like causing havoc, and everybody's trying to label them like leftist and blah blah blah. The thing is that we're not going to change our entire political system in one election. It's going to happen over many years of time, but we have to start electing the right people that are going to make drastic change.
Yeah, but I want to get back to this violence thing, and I'll tell you why, because I agree with everything that has been said, but I feel like, going back to what you said about apathy, that people are so defeated right now because of the violence.
Exactly. I think that we're really, really beaten down. And you know what I think beating us down, though? Honestly, Maria, it's not just the violence, it's the lies.
It's the lies.
And it's divisiveness. It's the divisiveness from the POTUS and McConnell and the whole administration, that they're just taking us down to the lowest common denominator, and we're becoming numb to it. The country, you can only take so much emotionally and mentally, that the lies just come every single day. And I mean,
well, Sue, let me ask you something. Because
the average person's working their ass off, trying to make a living, trying to get through the day, and they're just being beaten down by lies, and they don't know what's a lie and what's the truth anymore.
Right. Now, you live in Florida, which is very different, I'm sure, from New York.
Yes.
And the way, and the thing.
I live in like a Republican enclave. I live in a retirement community that's like 98% Republican. Yeah.
And are they still buying all the lies?
Yes.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I go to Florida all the time.
It's just about party. It's really party over country.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. So they're still holding to it. Do you ever hear anything where they're scared of all the mass shootings? Are they frightened at all?
They don't really mention it. It's funny. I just I had a golf tournament the other day, and three of us were Democrats sitting at a table with a person that was a Republican. She was a Trump supporter. And I said to her, I said, so I started going over the thing about the tariffs, and we're giving farmers checks, like welfare checks because we're bankrupting farmers. And
Right.
I was going through all these things, like these great Trump things. And she looked at me and she had no idea what I was talking about.
Right. Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Because they don't care. That's
They don't
why
know.
they don't care. They're
I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, these are things that your president is doing.
Right.
I said, this is what he's about. And she goes, well, I don't like him as a human being, but I like his policies.
Do you know?
But
I've
they-
heard that.
I
I've
don't even know
actually.
his policies.
But
I've
they don't know
actually
his
heard-
policies.
I've actually heard that so many times.
Yeah.
And so many times I can't even tell you. And you know what I've realized, what I've defined that as? It's okay. He's giving me the authority to hate somebody else.
Right.
That's basically, that is it. That is it. I'm telling you, I've met so many people, and I try to talk to them about politics. And when I get down to their really nitty gritty, they're just self-loathing people that want to hate someone else and not themselves.
Right. But you know what you just said, Sue, about people not knowing. It's like that Representative Amesh. I can't remember where he's from now offhand, maybe Nebraska, but who just literally went from the Republican Party and became an independent because he couldn't take it anymore. He was having a town meeting, and he said what blew his mind was that most of the people in his district had no idea what was going on. Because they're being lied to. They're watching news stations that tell them other things. Like, for instance, a few days ago, when the two mass shootings happened within 24 hours, well, the Dayton and the El Paso happened within 24 hours. I said to myself, I always do this. I watch MSNBC, CNN, and then I go to Fox just to see what they're saying. Because I want to see across the board what America is hearing, not just what I'm hearing. And Fox News was not even covering it. They were talking, they had a segment on called Socialist Silliness. This is on the day that 40 people had been slaughtered.
It's awful.
So their listeners are not hearing what we're hearing.
Yeah, it's really, this is the time in my life. I never thought I would see this. You said it before. You never thought you'd see this apathy and this willingness to accept lies like this. I mean, Mitch McConnell needs to go. He needs to be voted out immediately. I mean, I think our priorities need to be not only Trump needs to go, but
Right,
Mitch
Mitch.
McConnell has to go. We have to retake the Senate. We must retake the Senate. And this apathy in our country, where millions of people are not voting, that is a big, big problem in this country.
Right.
I mean, I don't even know what to say. I mean, I don't know how we're going to get people to vote, because I know there are thousands of people trying to get people to vote, but people are just not getting out and doing it. That's the only way.
Because I think they feel discouraged. I think they feel like their vote doesn't count anyway.
I think they just don't care.
Yeah.
I think they just don't
I
care.
think you're right.
I mean,
Because the Mueller report, everybody banked on that, and you see what happened with that with Barr. What he did with that, he shut that right down.
right.
So all we have left is our vote. That's what you said before, and your vote does count, though. And we have to get these young people, old people, everybody in the middle. We have to get people out to vote, because we have to change the gun laws in this country.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, we have to change so many laws, gun laws,
Yeah.
lobbying laws, dark money laws. We have to change so many. I mean,
But
so many.
Sue,
These
in
mass shootings really aren't done. I mean,
They're not
that's
done.
what's scary.
Right.
They're not done.
I
They're
know.
going to keep going and going. And
I
I
know.
hate to say that.
well, because
Fear-monger, but they're
no,
gonna
it's
keep
not
going.
fear mongering. What's happening is there is a civil war. This invisible civil war,
Yeah.
and these
It's
young
pretty visible.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is these young men that are lost, they hear a message and they say, I am the soldier to attack this invasion, and
Yeah.
I will do it. And that's what they're doing.
Terrorist.
They're taking, so yes, what is the definition of terrorism? To use fear, to control people. This is homegrown terrorism.
Exactly.
And that's what's happening. And just like ISIS, our young men are taking it upon themselves and getting guns and saying, I'm going to kill those people. Don't you worry, Mr. President. They won't invade our country.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what's happening.
After 9/11, around 2005 to the end of my career, which is 2011, I taught counterterrorism preparedness. And we taught in classrooms with Homeland Security. And, you know, the major terrorist threat, one of the major terrorist threats then was right-wing domestic terrorism.
That was wow.
Anyone to ever say anything different would be lying. And it's always said that.
And you taught that. You taught that in law enforcement school.
Yeah, I taught that in NYPD.
Wow.
I taught the entire NYPD along with other people. We had mandatory training that was federally funded, and it was called COBRA training. And, you know, it comes right from Homeland. It was written by Homeland Security. All the curriculum was written by the Fed.
Wow.
Wow.
And that was in 2006 to 2011.
Wow.
Wow.
You know, so our government right now, I mean, can we trust what they're telling us at any time? That's the sad commentary. Can we trust anything that comes out of the White House?
Well, not now.
Not now we can't. But
No, we can't.
No.
well, Sue,
No, we can't.
listen, I want to thank you so much for your honesty and all your knowledge and your heart. And I really appreciate it, honey. And I'm gonna.
Oh, you're welcome. I love you. You know that.
I know. I
haven't
love
seen
you
in a
too,
long time,
sweetie.
but you're doing a great job.
Thank
Getting
you,
the word
honey.
out.
And you know, I'm gonna have more shows like this leading up to the election because I just want to keep informing people. So hopefully, I can get you to call back.
Okay, cool.
All right,
Well,
love you,
let me know. I
sweetheart.
will.
And I'll
Bye.
talk to you soon. Keep up the good
All right,
fight.
ladies. Take care.
All right, bye, honey. Wow. Oh my God. Okay, so you see, I mean, we're running out of time. This show went so fast. We have 9 minutes left. Okay, so first, let me take a second to do our food segment. Everybody breathe. I know there's been a lot of information, and I know it's been heavy information. Usually the show is a big goof fest, and we all joke around. But I just was so sad this week, and I couldn't take it anymore. And Judy's great with facts, and she's on the same page. We are always on the same page with all the stuff that's happening. So we wanted to inform you, do whatever you want with our information, but we appreciate you listening. Take a minute to go to our section of our show called Go Ahead, Keep Eating. Now, as I've been telling you, I've been on a low carb diet, but we're going on vacation this week, so I'm sure I'm gonna. But here's my low carb meal for tonight: shrimp that I cooked with vegetables. I have cauliflower and broccoli that I cooked in butter, garlic, cumin, and paprika, and a little bit of onions, of course, and a little white wine. And that's on vegetables. And then I made a delicious salad of green leaf, radishes, orange peppers, and I'm going to put in this. I'm going to put a apple cider vinegar, lime, and avocado oil is going to go in that. And sticking with our low carb dessert, you can have cream. By the way, you can have whipped cream and strawberries. So strawberries and cream is our low carb dessert of the night. So that's that. So that's what we had. Now, so we gave you a lot of information. I think it's very important to remember that most people, like I do feel that the people that listen to the show, for the most part, you do watch the news, you do listen, you read the paper. If you come across someone that does not have this information, I think what worked for me, and you can take your own, do what you got to do. This is what worked for me with this young kid last night, and a lot of people I talked to. I don't want to jump at people and scare them away. I want to tell them, sweetheart, here's some facts that you don't know about. Like that woman that Sue was talking about. She had no idea. people don't really know. Even some of my coworkers at work, they don't even know
But
these young
that's
kids.
not even the problem. The problem is why they don't know.
Right.
And the reason they don't know is because they choose not to know. Because that is not the they don't know anything about this administration's platform or what type of laws they are going to enact. All that they know and all that they care about is deflecting
Well-
deflecting issues to some. I don't have a job because of you. Don't have this because of you. Because of course
You want to blame somebody.
it's so much easier to blame someone for your troubles than to actually take responsibility for it. So what she said is so common. I speak to so many people that once you start actually throwing facts at them, they don't know what to do. And you know what? Condense this down to, let's say, you know, one's family, right? If you, or let's condense it down to something like the Bronx. What's that movie? The
Bronx Tale.
or a movie where someone from the ghetto does very well and then the rest of the ghetto is like, wait, why are you doing so well?
Right.
But the person that should be praising is the person that does well.
Right.
Instead, they're trying to bring that person down.
Right.
That's literally the same thing on a much larger scale.
Well, because it's easier for people that are failing to pull down than for them to start working hard enough to get to that level.
Right.
It's exhausting to them.
So I almost feel like when I have conversations with people that are Trump supporters or that don't know anything about what's going on with anything, I almost feel like number one, they never know actual facts.
No.
Number
all.
two, when you start giving them facts, they
Get very defensive.
they dismiss you. They're like, well, who do you think you are?
Yeah,
like,
where'd you get
because
that?
you know all of this information that they have no idea.
And they feel intimidated.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, and we have to end our show. I can't believe this night flew by because we could talk for hours. I just want to say this. All right.
Yeah, people will be apathetic until it affects them, like that senator whose daughter was across the street from the second
Right,
shooting.
in Dayton, Ohio. So I heard him on the news on 1010 Wins in New York, which is NBC. And he said that he has a 98% approval rating from the NRA. And again, we're not targeting responsible gun owners, guys. That doesn't, forget that. We're talking about crazies and that they should not be able to have guns. So this guy said that he had a 98% approval rating from the NRA, that he would never have voted for these bans, ever. And guess what happened on that day? His daughter and her best friend were at the mall, and they were literally hiding from the shooter across the street. And they called their dad, who happened to be a senator, and they were freaking out. And he said, until I heard my daughter's voice and I realized that my 16-year-old was going to be killed, did I wake up.
That's
I have chills because why does it take that? Why does it take that? Let me explain something to you. And we have to end the show, but I want to leave you with this because most of our listeners are first generation from somewhere else. First. And some listeners are actually immigrants from other countries that are American citizens. Today, they're trying to pass a law today that not only discriminates against illegal immigrants, but legal. That means if you came from another country, your parents came from another country, all of a sudden they're going after you and they can try to deport you if they feel that you're going to take anything from this country. That includes Medicare. So that's my grandmother, by the way. That's my aunts. Those are all your uncles and aunts and brothers and sisters, and some of you were born in other countries. That means you. That doesn't mean the scary invasion that they're telling you is coming across. That doesn't mean the people in farms that you think they tell you are taking your jobs. You don't want those jobs anyway. And when they went into Mississippi, how much time, Jimmy? I think we probably have less than a minute.
But that just goes back to empathy.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Jim Bell. Thank you, Arm Radio. That's our mother station. Go ahead, Judy. And Jimmy, close us out when you have to.
That just goes back to empathy. Because if you're a mom, a dad, a sister, a brother, a friend, a human, and you don't feel anything when these little kids are dead, or when there's a mass shooting, until it happens to your direct relative, then what kind of person are you? if it happens to them, it could happen to you.
Right.
If it's just the law of attraction.
Right.
What makes you think that it wouldn't? So it all goes back to that. It
Okay.
all just goes back to.
I know we're running out of time. So much to talk about. We will come back on periodically and do these shows. Most of the time, my show is an entertainment show, and we love that you came back. We love that you stayed. Please go back and listen to the show. Please just love one another. Start accepting one another. Nobody is trying to take anything from you. We're trying to all coexist. We have to remember that. This is the United States of America. I wore my America shirt today. This is a beautiful country. We have to stop listening to these crazies. Okay.
Or we can just move to Paris. I love it there.
All right. We could do that too. Good night, everybody. We love and appreciate you. Thank you, Lieutenant Carol. Thank you, Sergeant Sue. Thank you, Armed Radio. And thank you, Judy Mesa, our political analyst. And we love and appreciate you. Good night, everybody.